Hello there. Welcome back to Third Thursday, Lunch and a Divorce Lawyer. I'm attorney Peter Olson, Chicago Family Law Group. Thanks again for being here this month, excuse me. I'm so appreciative to have attorney Ben Weaver, a real estate and estate planning attorney in Rolling Meadows, Illinois. Is that at least the first good top line on your bio, Ben?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Yep, my name is Ben Weaver, and I'm an attorney with 23 Legal in Rolling Meadows. And primarily, we're focused on residential real estate closings with a little bit of estate planning mixed in there as well. But we provide personal, practical, and professional legal service throughout Chicago and the suburbs.
Oh, that's great. I'm now, I think in my 20th year as an attorney, in years like 1 through 6 or something, I did a lot of real estate, but I haven't touched a closing in probably since 2011, other than a couple homes I've sold of my own.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, that real estate knowledge still comes in handy. It's just dealing with a messy situation post-divorce recently where it was good. It was good to have a little more real estate knowledge than the average kind of divorce family law attorney. So I'm not asking your age or something, but maybe let's do this. So how did you end up kind of doing what you're doing in 2022? Like, were you you can start wherever you want. When I asked that open question recently on one of these, I think somebody started in junior high. So nothing's off the table in terms of like,
Okay.
hey, how did you end up kind of running a small law practice in Rolling Meadows, doing a lot of
Yeah.
residential real estate?
Yeah. So path with real estate definitely it didn't start off with residential real estate right away. For a time after college, I was up in Anchorage, Alaska, and I was working for a law firm. And they did a lot of land use, like big, it was Alaska, big land use development type issues. And I just really enjoyed that section of the firm. So when I started thinking about law school, I was just kind of had this idea of real estate, something to do with more commercial, more land use, how are things developed, how they determine the value for a piece of land, that sort of thing. So went to law school, went to Michigan State, and while I was there, I worked for the Department of History, Arts, and Libraries for the state of Michigan. And I did a lot of work with state tax credits, a lot of historical preservation tax credit issues, and just I somehow found myself with that there again, just working real estate and just really enjoying it. So it's the late 2000s, 2007, 2008. All right, I'm going to get out of law school. I'm going to work in real estate. And then as soon as I graduated 2009, the bottom fell out. No one really cared about real estate. No one really cared about lawyers. Especially no one cared about a brand new real estate lawyer. So
Right.
there I was. I got a job working for a housing community in Grays Lake, and it wasn't a legal job. It was something I could do that was working in real estate. And from there, I met some realtors, and I started doing closings on the side for the realtors outside of this housing development. And eventually I started, my full-time job became a part-time job. And eventually I just started doing closings on my own. And, for the past 10 years now, I've been a residential real estate attorney with, a little bit of estate planning, helping people with wills, trusts, that sort of thing on the side.
Mm-hmm. Is the Chicago area your homeland, or how did you end up post law school in the northwest suburbs?
Yeah, good question. I'm originally from Michigan. My wife is from Chicago area. She grew up in Northbrook, so it was one of those things. We're both in grad school together, and it was kind of whoever got a job first, that was where we'd move to. And she ended up getting a job here in Chicago, so I took the Illinois bar, and here I am.
Oh, great. What part of Michigan are you from originally? Just curious. I'm
Yeah,
married to
sure.
a Yooper.
Oh yeah, I'm from Grand Rapids.
Oh, GR. Good times.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a great place.
Yeah, I'm a fan of that area. Seems it's a nice sized city, and you're not that far from the lake. I like hanging out in Holland once in a while. I've had some good weekends up in Holland.
Oh, yeah, yeah, absolutely. I hear you.
Total sidebar. So tell me about, if you said, hey, here's what I really like, or a particular kind of like picture in your practice, what do you really like, and what's your favorite deal? Like, is it, what type of a deal? What side of the deal? Like maybe what type of property, or just, I mean, pick, yeah, like give me a couple highlights on like, hey, here's the type of stuff I really kind of like gets my juices flowing, and
Sure.
really just enjoy, like, I mean, we all have our like, hey, here's my favorite thing, here's my least favorite thing maybe within our practice or something.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I enjoy is working with um, families who are probably either just starting out or moving from that first house into the second house or the starter home, and really where they're just very excited about the opportunity. They're just thrilled. They can't believe that they're finally buying this house, or that they're moving from that cramped condo into their their very first own home, and it's just very exciting for everything. And so helping those buyers. But at the same time, helping when they're selling, when they're moving from that condo, helping them sell that condo and seeing that they're moving up. The education, just working with them through the process. This is, they sign the contract. This is what the contract means. We go over the terms of the contract when those first 5 business days. They have the home inspection. We go over what the terms of the home inspection means. Some issues that even though the inspector points it out, it may just be a minor repair or routine maintenance issue that we really can't, the seller really isn't obligated to repair before closing. And then just making sure everything's in track with the loan going throughout the process, make sure the lender keeps us updated on how everything is going on so that we can close on time. And then when you get to that closing, you've gone through that whole process and seen the buyers at that closing table, and they're so excited. That really it really makes it, for me, makes it worth it.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, the first time, or yeah, the move up home buyer. I don't know, one of my good friends just bought a place, maybe in Wheeling,
Mm.
and he had a new baby and stuff, so he was really excited.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
uh, any particular issues, or what would you say, like, hey, I don't know, I'm 23, I've just been renting and stuff, and I'm kind of just totally clueless. What are some things I should be thinking about as like a first time home buyer that, I don't know, might be obvious to you or even to me, but just kind of like somebody who's just totally green as can be, but just knows like, hey, I want to buy a place. What are
Yeah,
some things
yeah.
they should kind of like have in the front of their mind to like be ready to actually buy a place?
Yeah, so the big thing, especially a 23-year-old, I think it's great, the idea of buying something when
Whatever,
you're
maybe a little
that
older,
young,
but I
but
just mean,
yeah,
just kind of like the green, inexperienced person who's just like, maybe, amorphous level. I'm excited. I want a place, but like, other than that, like, I don't have a clue. What are you,
oh,
what are you
sure, sure,
telling that
yeah.
person when they call you?
So the big thing, the big mountain to climb it is that loan. That when you're working with that lender, the lender is working for you. They definitely want to see you get that loan, but at the same time, just the paperwork you have to provide to that lender, and just because you provided it to someone who emailed you on Monday, someone else might email it to you on Wednesday and ask for the exact same document, and you got to get that document to them as soon as possible so that they can keep processing the loan. Obviously, I think the more times you go through it, now that's just the loan process. But that first time when you're going through it, and it's just so overwhelming, all the documents, all the bank account statements and credit card statements you provide and provide again, and then they say, oh, last month's statements have already expired, we need you to send in the new statements. And then I think, and then aside from that, then just the home inspection as well. Just you know um, most people, once you've owned a house, you're more accustomed to doing the home maintenance on it. But that first time you actually look at a house and you're there with the inspector, and they're going up in the attic, they're going in the crawl space, and they're pointing out all the parts of the house you never go into.
Mm.
Definitely make sure that all these things are issues that can be addressed either through the seller, or there's something that easy to do as a homeowner after closing. And no matter what the condition of the house is today, it's going to continue to require maintenance in the future, and just something you have to get used to. But yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, here, while you're on that topic, what kind of down payment percentages are people paying these days? If I'm that, that first time home buyer, what kind of, like, minimum
Sure.
down payments required to sort of, what's kind of the typical average you're seeing in your deals that people are in
Yeah.
fact, putting down?
Yeah. Well, the good news is that a lot of people have 20% stuck in their head, and that's there are definitely tons of different loan packages out there that do not require 20%. You can get an FHA loan for as low as 3.5% down, and various other types of loans. But you see 5% down, 10% down all the time. It doesn't necessarily have to be 20% in the house.
Yeah. And then I think some of the military programs, you can still do 0 down, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. With the VA program, it's 0. That's an amazing, especially when you get to the closing and the buyer gets a check back from the lender because of all the tax credits and everything gets mixed up. And
yeah, way
make
back
one
when, I think that was pretty common before the bubble burst. But I know actually one of the attorneys who works at our firm, I know he's ex-military, and I believe he went that route just because, I guess why not? I mean, there might be a few reasons why not, but
it's a great program. Definitely, if you qualify, go for it.
Yeah. What's if I said one or two like great moves to make as a prospective like buyer that you see, maybe that, I don't know, you would recommend or something, maybe maybe it's the opposite of the same question. Like, what are good moves that people, make that maybe you don't see everybody making? And conversely, like really stupid things you see people doing in as prospective buyers that they should be doing. I don't know. That's an inartful question to just try to say, like, what's the best way to approach a deal, and what are some common mistakes? Maybe it would be the other way to ask it.
Sure. So I think the best approach is to, when you're purchasing this house, you've committed to the house, is treating that house as your number one priority. So for that month or 2 months, however long it is, don't get sidetracked. As a real estate attorney, you hear all the horror stories, and you see it happen in real time where people will go out and they'll buy a car 2 weeks before closing, and then all of a sudden they can't get the loan because they've ruined their financing.
Right.
So, and another example, more relatable to buying a house, is going out and purchasing a lot of new furniture on credit, taking out a new credit card for that. And I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier, but just make sure that when the lender asks for paperwork, you get that paperwork to the lender right away. You don't put it off. You don't say, "Oh, I'm tired tonight, I'm gonna, I'll send it in the morning." You got to keep working that lender, get everything done ASAP to make sure things keep processing, because really from signing the contract to closing usually takes anywhere from 1 month to 2 months. And the big reason for that time period is, there's some things like the seller has to work with the title company, and they have to provide a survey, that sort of thing. But the big thing that takes up all the time in that process is the loan. And if you delay the loan, it's just going to take more time, and then everyone gets frustrated. And last thing you want is have to answer to an angry seller why you couldn't close on time because you didn't pay attention to the loan.
Yeah. What percentage of deals, I mean, I'm just thinking of like what I would consider a stupid thing to do. Are you seeing where somebody's not doing a home inspection?
Rarely. It about a month and a half ago, maybe March of 2022, the market was absolutely crazy, and that's where you started seeing those inspection waivers and escalation clauses, and things have backed off a bit. You still have people are buying houses as is, but at least when you purchase a house as is, you still have the opportunity to inspect the house versus completely waiving the inspection altogether. So, but it does happen, and if like I said, we're just a month or two away from it being super crazy, and people agree in those terms.
Yeah, like the idea of, yeah, maybe not, still doing the inspection, but whatever, I'm for, you use the verbiage, where you, maybe can't ask for credits and stuff, but I mean, you still have the right to
Yeah,
maybe get out of the
assets, yeah.
deal
Mhm.
if it came back. I know we sold a condominium in the near northwest suburbs in, did we end up closing August or September? And
Okay.
that was kind of a harrowing experience. You thought of like what a strong seller's market it was. It was still pretty juicy. Like we had two offers fall through, and then the
Yeah.
final one went through. And I remember they actually did not do they did not do an inspection. It was a condominium. I mean, I think that is a little more common in a condo
Mhm.
situation, maybe to waive the inspection.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Totally sidebar. My
Yeah.
my
No.
big
No.
my big takeaway from our sale was everybody wants hardwood floors these days.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
That was my
Yeah.
biggest takeaway from our entire process. So it's part of our home was carpeted, and man, that everybody wanted these stinking hardwood floors. We probably should have just done that at the front end of it,
Yeah.
but we were,
Yeah, it's one of those things. 2 years from now, everyone could want carpet again.
yeah. What is the quick picture of like, hey, 2022 real estate year so far? What's the summary paragraph on it? And like, how's it been? And I don't know, tips going forward for prospective buyers or sellers.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's right now. So the year as a whole has been very, very busy. A lot of people looking to buy and sell houses. There was definitely a lot of excitement in the market, say maybe March and April. That's kind of died down now. People are still very interested in moving. I think there's still a lot of younger millennial age families who are in a cramped condo or a cramped house. They need to move on to something else. But at the same time, the interest rates are going up, and everyone's very
Right.
worried about inflation. So those things are kind of slow things down a bit. But
Mm-hmm.
the beginning of the year, I think there were a lot of buyers very interested, and there wasn't much on the market. And then the sellers kind of caught up, and things sold very quickly. And now it's kind of evened out a little bit. We're very standard kind of springtime. A lot of houses are for sale, and there are a lot of buyers out there, and kind of things are moving along. But everyone's has an eye to interest rates. Everyone's very
Yeah.
nervous about what's going to happen with that, and again, inflation. But the real estate's a good investment if you're worried about inflation too. So
Yeah. Um, that sounds good. Let me ask you this: as a person who's practices only divorce and child custody cases, has a family law issue come across your plate recently? And I don't mean, I'm not asking you, are you working in the divorce area? But I mean, have you had any sort of like tangential to a family law case, selling, buying, just a funny war story or two that you could share?
well, this is
Or if you don't have one, you don't have one. But
well, this is a not so much family law, but a good family story.
fair.
Where I was helping someone sell a house a year or so ago, and they ended up right before the closing, right before we're going to sign all the deed and the other closing paperwork. She went to labor, and so we had
Oh,
to sign the
whoa.
paperwork ASAP. So next thing I knew, I was in the waiting room at the hospital, and I ended up going up to the delivery room to sign the paperwork last second, and I was quickly they pushed me out of the out of the room at the last second. But a very interesting experience. A lot of times when I work with couples who are divorcing, though, I
Mm-hmm.
find that it's not so much a interesting story, but I find that I'm a good mediator. That each party is working with the divorce is ongoing, and they have to sell the house, and I feel that I have a good temperament to kind of act as a buffer between the two parties, work with the husband and wife, but also the divorce attorneys to make sure that the everything kind of goes as smoothly as possible, so we can sell the property and disperse the funds according to either hold them in escrow or disperse the funds according to the court order or the parties agreement.
Yeah, that sounds like yeah, a way you can be very constructive, yeah, in that role. Yeah, sort of a voice of reason, or a, yeah, mediator type role for sure. I kind of wish more family law attorneys had a little bit of more a lighter temperament, because, well, I mean, I feel like some of those are just like personality temperament issues. I feel like do drive a lot. Like this doesn't have to be that dramatic. I mean, like, why? It really doesn't. I mean, there's actually
Yeah.
quite a bit of win-win possibility in family law. And clearly, I mean, clearly, like selling the home can and should be, but I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Not sure why. Sometimes it's like the hammer and nail, kind of like, hey, if there's a nail, you're going to be a hammer or something. Even though I feel like, there aren't that many cases. There aren't that really that many issues in family law that need to be that contested. I mean,
Sure.
but I could go way down that road. I've learned a lot. I mean, even recently doing some of these calls on family law, just or related to real estate, or some of the lending, some of the ways that child support and spousal support are viewed by the lenders. I've really gotten some interesting stuff on that. Like how it kind of needs to be running for 6 months before it can be included as somebody's income for
Mm.
purposes of like loan qualification. Because I feel like sometimes we used to, maybe somebody would have to refinance in like 3 months or something, but if they're getting that child support, it really needs to be out a little farther to capture, maybe a little bit more income to get approved on a mortgage. But that's something that's come up. So but yeah, here, I don't want to keep you too long, Ben. Hey, I was looking at your YouTube channel, which looks pretty strong, actually. I'm
Yeah.
impressed. We spend a little time on our YouTube channel too. So you have these funny videos about like how to buy a home in like 17 different suburbs, from like Morton Grove to Des Plaines to Schaumburg. I think Schaumburg had the most views. So I don't know if you have the most deals in Schaumburg or what, but I
Yeah.
mean, I feel like in the general near northwest suburbs, it probably is the largest suburb. So maybe that's the reason. But like, so you're like easiest, like working through that community X, which is like the easiest to do a deal, do a sale through, or most difficult by municipality? I don't need a ranking of all 17. Why don't you
Yeah.
say like the best and the worst?
Oh,
Is there an
sure,
answer to
sure.
that
So
question? Is there an easy answer?
there is, I think that a lot hinges on the water, the final water meter reading.
I
So
see.
a suburb like Schaumburg or Buffalo Grove, where they have the
Yes.
technology, they can just look it up at the office. It's great. You just show up with the paperwork, you pay for the stamp, and it's done. Some other suburbs, though, you still have to physically go out to the house and take a final water meter reading. And so then the suburb they need a week's notice to get it together, and it just adds up, and it adds a lot of stress, especially if it's a situation where the closing comes down to the wire. Maybe the loan isn't quite ready, and then you know we get the clear to close on Monday, and everyone wants to close on Wednesday, and then you contact the village and say, okay, we need that final water meter reading, and the village says, oh no, we need a week's notice to do that, and slows everything way down. So
Okay, so I won't ask you for the worst, because you might like need
yeah.
a favor from the water person in X
Yeah,
suburb.
exactly.
But
Yeah, thanks.
that's interesting to say that Buffalo Grove and Schaumburg are. I'll tell you, here's one of the biggest reasons I got out of doing real estate closings. It was my second job out of law school, and so I was like this associate attorney doing like a ton of deals. And
Mhm.
but you know what else I did that I hated doing? I would like go to different villages to like get the transfer stamps, and
Oh
it's
yeah,
like, is
yeah,
this my life?
yeah. Uh-huh.
And
Yep.
so I'm hoping that's not really happening that much anymore. But it was, I don't know,
Yeah.
15 years ago. Like I would be like, hey, stop over at this village to get the transfer stamps for these deals. So
Oh
thank
yeah,
thank
yeah.
so but yeah, hey, other than that, what tell me about your ideal client, and like somebody who should contact you, and how and where they can find you, Ben.
Sure, sure. So check out the website, 23legal.com. And thanks for the plug, but our YouTube channel is youtube.com/23legal. Best way to find us. And then, really, that's just always interested in helping people throughout Chicago area. One of the parts that I really enjoy about the being a real estate lawyer is going to the closing. So I love a day when I have a closing in Gurnee in the morning and Naperville in the afternoon, and I'm driving here and there and all over the place. So happy to help people throughout Chicago and the suburbs. And yeah, after we talk here, I'm in Rolling Meadows right now, but I'm going to go to Skokie for a closing. So I'm all over the place. But always happy to talk to people. If you're buying or selling a house throughout Chicago, give me a call.
Cool. Well, thanks again for joining us, Ben. And yeah, I'll surely think of you with my perspective. I'm adding you to my business partner list because, we definitely need those referrals for particularly on the sales side, but otherwise, because, I feel like maybe like real estate and immigration attorneys are kind of the issues that kind of are really, or sometimes bankruptcy, immigration, real estate, bankruptcy, I feel like are my most like common tangential to family law issues that I need help with, or a client needs help with.
Yeah.
That we're certainly not practicing indirectly. So,
sure.
Well, thanks again.
Yeah,
Thanks again, Ben, and be well.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for inviting me. This is a great experience. Enjoyed it.
All right. Take care.
Yep. Thanks. Bye.